But Buff Bagwell was, hello, I don't know what that was. Anyway, Buff Bagwell was let go because of all the different incidents backstage. He got into a fight with Shane Helms, Gregory Helms, at the WWF Training Center. And then this was the kicker. His mom called over the weekend and told I don't know if she talked to Jim Ross or whoever, but his mom, Judy, called in to let them know that her son wasn't feeling good and that he would not be at work over the weekend.
Well, she did that, and then she also called about his flight arrangements,
yes,
saying that the flight arrangements weren't acceptable.
Exactly.
It's like, you got your mom. I mean, granted, she's been on TV and we've all seen her at some point.
Former tag team champion.
Yeah, exactly. But come on, you don't have your mom call up.
Well, Buff did, and
or have I wonder if it's like when he was sick, if she wrote a note that just said Buff's mom.
That's a guy. You think about what he went through a few years ago, almost being paralyzed in the ring, and the guy has a great look to him, has good wrestling ability. I mean, he's shown it in the past.
He did it on that one match on Raw.
Well, no, not on Raw, but I mean, the guy knows what he's doing in the ring, and again, has a great look, has a very solid fan following.
Yes.
Yet, this guy continues to just be one of those guys who doesn't get it. He doesn't understand what he has and the opportunity he had in front of him, because, as Max Payne said, there's one guy running the wrestling business right now. So, Buff, I hope you saved your money up, because you're going to be stuck working the armories and the high schools and everything else. That guaranteed contract, bye-bye. It's gone.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's another one that's showing that pain.
The fastest 60 minutes in radio, it's up again. Thanks, Willie. Thanks to Max Payne.
Thank you, Shawn, and thanks to Max Payne.
And we'll see you next week. You're listening to The Wrestling Guys
on WPFB 910 AM.
The following program is scheduled for 1 hour. Making their way into the studio, the tag team champions of Talk Radio, Shawn and Willie F., the Wrestling Guys.
A terrific Wednesday night to you. We are back once again, the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. Shawn Stidham along with Willie F. The toll-free number, if you want to hop on board, 866-910-WPFB. A jam-packed show tonight we have for you. There we go. I think we got that right tonight. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. All right. So now we're set.
Well, you have to explain. Shawn was having some... See, the tape deck sits about 2 feet above Shawn.
However,
and so that's very hard for Shawn to reach up and actually start it.
However,
Shawn likes to hear his own voice.
With my impressive vertical, it soothes me to sleep at night.
Well, sure.
But with my impressive vertical, Willie F., I was able to sky and hit that record button. So enough of you. Anyway, a lot of stuff going on in the wrestling world. In case you have not followed via the hotline or yesterday on the Rebel Ringside Report on our sister station 105.9 The Rebel, on Monday, Terry Bam Bam Gordy, one of the original Fabulous Freebirds, was found dead in his home in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Now, it appears that the official cause of death turned out to be a heart attack brought on by a blood clot, and a lot of people thought that, given the past with wrestling deaths or with even Terry's own history, that maybe it was an overdose or something along those lines. Turns out that's not the case. I don't know if that helps at all or not for those that are mourning him, but Terry Bam Bam Gordy, his visitation is being held today. The funeral will be held tomorrow morning, and a little bit later on, we are going to talk with a man who is very close to Terry Bam Bam Gordy, Dr. Death Steve Williams, who has wrestled against Terry Gordy, wrestled with him in Japan, was a co-holder of the WCW tag team titles with Terry Bam Bam Gordy. A number of other people that we've talked to over the last couple of days and made contact with, including Michael Hayes, just not ready to come on and talk about that tonight. Talk about Terry, we understand that certainly. But Steve, Dr. Death Williams, is going to join us a little bit later on this program. Now, let's go ahead and get into the news. World Wrestling Federation is hunting down sports bars that are showing pay-per-views illegally. Up in Canada, they have cracked down on 30 sports bars, filing a lawsuit for $1.7 million. That's a lot of change.
That is.
What's the official...
you have to sell a lot of wings to recoup that back.
Oh, my goodness. But anyway, the WWF does allow bars to show pay-per-views. You've seen BW3s and Pulsations and Hooters and all of those guys that have the official WWF. What is that called? I'm trying to remember what that is. It's a little name. It's Smash Team or something like that.
Right. They pay an I don't know how much it is, but of course it's more than
$200.
Yeah,
for each show.
It's more than what you pay sitting watching it at home to broadcast that. But of course they're recouping their money back in sales and also whether they charge admission or not too.
Right. So the WWF is filing a lawsuit against those guys, and word is they are going to be in full force this weekend for the Invasion pay-per-view. Blame Canada!
Blame Canada.
Can we run that on this? I don't know if we can play that or not. Anyway, however, the word is that they're going to be out and about this weekend looking for sports bars showing the pay-per-view illegally.
Now, when you say they're going to be out and about, would that be like Sergeant Slaughter and the Stormtrooper refs? Are they the ones that are officially going to go out?
I think so, yeah.
Tony Gurria himself is going to go.
It's actually going to be Vince himself.
Vince
is going to drive around bar to bar this Sunday night.
I just wonder, if anything happens backstage, who's going to stop that now?
Well, we'll have to find out. Who knows? Ratings for this past Monday are in. Raw banged out a 5.0 number, which is really a very strong number for them over the last few weeks. It's been 4.5, 4.7. Getting a 5.0 shows a lot of interest, especially now with ECW being a part of this WCW storyline.
And actually, the rating increased as the show went on. I think it even topped off at a 5.8, which is also very high for them as of late.
Absolutely. The World Wrestling Federation announcing today they are teaming up with Sony Music, as if the World Wrestling Federation needs more money, as now Sony Music Entertainment will be the official video partner for World Wrestling Federation home videos and DVDs. The deal is going to significantly expand the distribution of their video and DVD titles starting this month when WWF Hardcore, Judgment Day DVDs, also King of the Ring, and the Best of Raw Volume 3 all hit the shelves.
Now, why is that? Because WWF has their own video company. That's how they're distributing them.
Right.
Are you telling me they can't get those out to, like, Sam Goodies and stuff like they have been?
They can, but Sony has more marketing power and more of a pull. So now they're going to be able to get into places more predominantly that they maybe have not. You're probably going to see more displays.
Well, sure. I think you're also going to see a price hike.
Probably. More than
so they could pay off Sony.
Although I got to say, and I love WWF Home Video. They've been very good with us.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think this is more the individual retailer than it is at the actual WWF Home Video distribution center. But some of the prices on the pay-per-views are jacked up a little high.
Yeah, you think so?
When you see you can go out and buy in-your-house pay-per-view on video for $34.95. I'm not going to mention the store, but I saw that. I actually saw that today.
Did you really?
A 4-year-old pay-per-view.
And it's $34.95.
$34.95 on VHS.
Gosh, I got to go back and look. I might have a yard sale.
Dusty Rhodes apparently is looking for independent wrestlers who would like to work for him down at Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. He is going to be holding tryouts August 11th and 12th. If you want to make the drive to the TCW offices near Atlanta and to get more information, you can call, grab a pen, 770-794-1145 is the phone number. SmackDown taping taking place last night. A preview of what you will see includes Y2J Chris Jericho against Diamond Dallas Page, Lance Storm against Christian, 6-man tag team as the Dudley Boys and Taz will take on The Undertaker and Tajiri and Kane. Also, Sean O'Hare takes on Bradshaw. Billy Kidman and Rob Van Dam team up to battle Jeff Hardy and X-Pac, and Rhino and Booker T against Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kurt Angle. Also, a little bit later on tonight, we will be looking at the Invasion pay-per-view this Sunday, and again, we want to get your thoughts on that at 866-910-WPFB. Eric just walked in now, so somebody's there to answer the phone.
All right.
He's running a little bit late. He's a little bit upset. You know what?
Well, I know what happened.
What's that?
He was just like, it's just like him that happened to Stone Cold Steve Austin on Monday night. Eric was sitting at a bar, and he was feeling real depressed and not knowing if he wanted to come in or not. Because,
you know what he's depressed about? I'll tell the story.
Okay.
If you haven't seen our producer, Eric Snell,
yes,
he looks an awful lot like Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
And actually, we were backstage at an ECW show a couple of years ago, and people were calling him Baby Dreamer and all this stuff. Yes. And Tommy even came up to him and said, "Dude, I'm sorry, you look like me." Well, this past weekend, Eric was watching Metal or Jacked, and Michael Hayes was doing the color commentary and said that Tommy Dreamer was without a doubt, the ugliest man in professional wrestling.
Oh,
and
wow.
now Eric is taking that very personally
I
because
understand.
he looks like Tommy Dreamer.
But he's here, so that means that we have the old Eric back.
So when you call in
Sort of like the
tonight-
old, Stone Cold Steve Austin, which I kept thinking that he was going to come out as the ringmaster.
Stunning Steve, you've got the hair weave in
I
or
did, but
something.
well, the one thing I didn't understand about that, well, if he's the old Stone Cold Steve Austin, why did he leave some of the people in the ring still standing?
That's a good
The
point.
old Stone Cold would have hit the stunner on Undertaker, Kane, everyone that was in that ring.
Anyway, when you call in tonight,
You don't care about my points
I do
anymore.
care about your points, but we got to take a break.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to say real quick, when you call in tonight, give your, encourage Eric. Tell him, Eric, you're
Yeah.
not the ugliest man in wrestling radio, okay?
This is it's like a helpline in reverse.
It is.
tonight.
In a way it is, yes. 866-910-WPFB, your phone calls and more. We are the Wrestling Guys.
On 9:10 a.m. WPFB.
Welcome to the 910. Here are the Price is Right model.
Well, you get the an official bag.
Yeah, for
I did. You get an official bag that, don't have small children around. You have a canteen, and it says for water only, just to let you know.
So nothing else.
It's a WWF canteen, and it says for water only. So, if you're planning to have, a bunch of people over, please don't put anything else other than water in the canteen. And you also, you do not apply canteen to open flame. That's what it says. You have a flag, a little WWF flag. You do have a T-shirt in here.
That's one of those flags you can, put on your car.
It is.
So as you're driving down 75 or 275 or 73, whatever, you can put that flag out and proclaim proudly that you are a fan
Of the,
World Wrestling
yeah, that's right.
Federation. There you go.
And then you also have dog tags, or one dog tag. One tag, one per bag. Well, you don't need more than one.
I guess not.
You only need one.
Anyway,
So all that.
Anyway, when you call in tonight, 866-910-WPFB, Eric will take your information, and at the end of the show, we will reveal some winners. And we also want to remind you about the Wrestling Guys hotline. 937-285-0991 is the phone number with the latest news available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what we were talking about before the break is the Invasion pay-per-view happening this Sunday. And to go back and think what we would have thought of a couple of years ago when the World Wrestling, if the announcement had been made that there was going to be a pay-per-view with the World Wrestling Federation battling WCW and ECW, we would have wet our pants.
Well, we would have back
But
then.
and now it's like,
Yeah.
it's fun, it's exciting. Yeah, we're going to.
Kind of makes you feel you're an idiot thinking that way back when.
But it just seems, it's a little bit anticlimactic, I guess. It doesn't. It's not the build-up that it would have had.
Well, and the reason being is because essentially, WCW, you don't have your Goldberg, you don't have your Kevin Nash, you don't have your Scott Hall, you don't have your Ric Flair. You don't have your Scott Steiner. So, really, it's kind of just CW. It's not WCW, it's just CW.
Or WECW, which is what they end up being called now.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in a second, but here's the rundown of the matches. And, Willie, you give me your opinion. First of all, the match I know you are clamoring to see, Earl Hebner, WWF senior referee, versus WCW senior referee Nick Patrick.
I have no comment on that match. You really don't want me to
Who's
comment
going to
on
referee that match?
Maybe that's what the big thing's going to be.
You think?
Yeah, and who is actually going to ref that match?
A match that we saw a couple of years ago at Heatwave 99 in the main event up in Dayton Terra Arena. Taz against Tajiri.
No, that should be a decent match.
I don't think you're going to see the barbed wire like we saw at the ECW Heatwave, but also X-Pac against Billy Kidman. That one could be good.
That could actually be a good match.
Rob Van Dam is going to take on Jeff Hardy. Also Edge and Christian against Mike Awesome and Lance Storm. That could be the surprise match of the night, depending on how they let those guys work.
Well, yeah, and I think Mike Awesome and Lance Storm have been able to, shrug off the ring rust. Both of them seem to be pretty dependable now, whereas some of the other ones I wouldn't necessarily say that. But yeah, that could be a good match.
Speaking of ring rust, are you talking about Chuck Palumbo and Shawn O'Haire?
I did not say that.
Anyway, the WCW Tag Team Champions will take on the WWF Tag Team Champions, the APA.
That should be a decent match.
We'll tell a little story about that, too. We'll have to tell that story. And
all right.
And we'll get to that in a second. Bra and panties match. There we go. Set the TiVo for that one. Stacy Keebler and Tori Wilson against Trish Stratus and Lita.
You know what? I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that match is going to be horrible.
Now, but wait a minute.
I'm just going, listen.
The rules of the match state that the first team that gets stripped down to their bra and panties.
It's the team.
I think it's the team.
Okay.
Anyway, the first person, let's just say that gets stripped down to their bra and panties is the losing. That's the losing team.
Right.
Lita already comes out with her panties showing, so already that team's at a disadvantage.
That's true. Maybe that's the handicap.
And your main event for the Invasion pay-per-view, it's Team WWF, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, Kane, The Undertaker, and Y2J against Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, the Dudley Boys, and Rhino. I don't see any way that Team WWF wins the pay-per-view this Sunday.
You don't think that they will win?
I don't think they will win because I think they'll want to continue this storyline a little further past this pay-per-view, and if the World Wrestling Federation comes out on top in that match, storyline's over. They've squashed WCW and ECW. I think we're probably going to see a turn in this match,
right?
And it will probably involve Stone Cold Steve Austin going back over to WCW ECW.
Okay. Now let me ask you something. What is the name of that match?
The inaugural Brawl.
And what does that mean?
First time.
Okay. There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A couple of things that we were just talking about with the APA and Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Hare. We talked before about the HWA being the developmental territory for the World Wrestling Federation. Mm-hmm. They had a call over the last week, I guess yesterday, and said, hey, do you guys have a show this weekend? And they're like, no, we have the weekend off. We've been running our shows. And they're like, oh, we were going to send you this match. But that's part of the excitement of the HWA having this developmental deal is that whenever they run a show now, there's always going to be that possibility somebody could pop up. With the UPW developmental territory in California, Triple H showed up at a show, Kurt Angle shows up at shows.
Unannounced.
Yeah, totally unannounced. So we're not saying, when you go to an HWA show, you're definitely going to see one of the top names from the WWF, but you never know.
Yeah,
and that would have been
very true.
And I know Les was kicking himself through the flood today, but HWA Training Center got a little wet after all the floods down in Cincinnati. So hopefully they're dried out by now. I'm not sure if they are or not, but we shall see. 866-910-WPFB is the phone number. Let's go to our first call tonight. It is Casey. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
I want to know a question with you guys.
Hold on one second, Casey. Hold on one second.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
I was wanting to know why you think Test is not getting such a big push. I mean, Albert's Intercontinental Champion. He's not very good in the ring or anything. But Test, he's really improving a lot and everything.
I think that Test, I don't know why exactly he would not get a push. There was a lot of talk that he was going to be put into the WCW storyline.
And then I don't think that they could do that because he wasn't in WCW.
Right.
He's never been in WCW.
No, the idea was when the World Wrestling Federation was going to operate WCW as a separate organization, I think Casey's already left, but when they were going to operate the WCW as a separate organization, the Test was going to be one of the featured guys in that. And then when they couldn't secure another time slot, then that idea kind of went out the window. So we'll see what happens. 866-910-WPFB is the phone number. Thanks to Casey for calling in. And, again, looking at this pay-per-view, the reason you got to wonder, we know The Rock is going to come back at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
He's being promoted and everything else. Do you see The Rock in any way maybe making a return at the pay-per-view this Sunday?
I've heard rumors about that, but I haven't heard what officially the, if the Mummy or the Scorpion King has wrapped up.
Yeah, it has.
It has
wrapped up.
Okay, now what about, has his kid been born yet?
His child has not been born yet. But from what I understand, I think she's around the either 7.5 or 8 month marker for pregnancy. So The Rock coming back at SummerSlam, that's already, if the baby's on schedule, going to be, pushing the delivery date pay-per-view real close together. So I don't think right now the birth of the child is a factor. If you take a look at the posters for SummerSlam, it features The Rock with the word "finally" in the background. So they're very much going to play this up as finally the return of The Rock. And let's remember, the reason The Rock has not been here, according to the storyline, is he's been suspended from the World Wrestling Federation by Vince McMahon. So you can see one of two things happening. If Stone Cold does turn and aligns himself with WCW, ECW, then you can see where Vince McMahon needs to bring The Rock back to combat Stone Cold Steve Austin at SummerSlam. You could also see something where maybe The Rock is going to be WCW. He's upset with Vince McMahon over suspending him, so he aligns himself with Shane and Steph and Paul Heyman and joins WCW to go against Vince in the World Wrestling Federation. So a lot of options there.
It could. I just don't know if any of them are
Let me ask you
any
something.
good or not.
Over the last couple of weeks, Stephanie McMahon has really been pushing the idea that she couldn't wait for her father to die.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are really uncomfortable with bringing that up in any form, whether it be a storyline or not. And this past Monday, she even said it to Freddie Blassie, who is up there in his mid-80s. And she even told Freddie, why don't you just go die since you're almost dead anyway? However she phrased it.
Well, she said, you and the WWF have something in common. You're both about ready to die.
Right. And apparently Freddie was okay with that. But a lot of other people were not. I mean, when you talk about, skirting the lines of good taste, that certainly was there.
Here's the reason. And the main reason is because they cannot seem to get this whole WCW, ECW thing over as a heel or not. So they have to do something like that. It's cheap heat. It's cheap heel heat, and if it caused a reaction, even if it was negative, then that makes ECW, WCW even that much more of a heel.
866-910-WPFB, the phone number. Let's talk to Chancey. You're on the Wrestling Guys. How are you?
All right, how you guys doing?
Not bad, thanks.
I just wanted to see if you guys were at the showcase last night and what you thought of that main event.
I was not at the HWA showcase last night. Willie, I don't know if you were there or not.
I was there.
Oh, okay. Good seats again?
I had very good seats once again. Actually, I thought the main event
What was the main event?
The main event was Ray Steele versus Cody Hawk.
Oh, okay.
And Cody Hawk actually went out as the HWA heavyweight champion. He won the belt last night.
Cody's the new champion.
There was now refs got involved in this match because you had David Hopp who was actually going to count Ray Steele. He was going to count. Cody Hawk had Ray Steele pinned. David Hopp started making the count, and Jackson Breeze came in, pulled David Hopp out of the ring, punched him. Then Race got on top of Cody Hawk, started counting, and then Joe Lopez came down and pulled Jackson Breeze out of the ring and hit him. And I thought Joe was like, the reaction the ref Joe Lopez got, I thought he was the heavyweight champion.
And Joe's what, 105 pounds?
105 pounds.
105 pounds. Anyway, so Cody Hawk's the new HWA champion. Yeah. So there you go, Chancey. Thanks for the call. 866-910-WPFB if you want to hop on board tonight. When we come back, we're going to remember Terry Gordy as we talk to Dr. Death Steve Williams. You're listening to The Wrestling Guys
on 910 AM WPFB.
PFB. Back here on The Wrestling Guys, Dr. Death Steve Williams will join us momentarily to talk about his longtime friend Terry Bam Bam Gordy, who, in case you have not heard, passed away this past Monday. Visitation is taking place today. The funeral will take place tomorrow. And unfortunately, Terry Bam Bam Gordy, and I don't know why it is with wrestlers when normally in these situations, but Terry did not have insurance. And a special auction is being set up now at maineventwrestling.com. They're auctioning off some things, and what they're going to do is whatever the winning bid is, they're going to match that. So in other words, if an autographed 8x10 goes for $20, they're going to add another $20 to the total.
Oh, well, that's cool.
And it's going to go to his family, and there's talk already about putting on some type of memorial show, and that's all in the early planning stages, obviously. But Terry Bam Bam Gordy, if you want, again, more information about that auction, go to maineventwrestling.com, and they are setting that up as we speak. So Terry Bam Bam Gordy, you look back at his career, so much, being a part of the whole world-class Von Erich Freebird feud, which dominated the 80s, and then going into his role in Mid-South and being the first ever UWF champion, and then all of the success the guy had over in Japan. Teaming with Stan Hansen and Dr. Death Steve Williams.
And never really got the type of accolades that I think that he deserved. I really think out of the Freebirds, he was probably the best one out of all of them.
He was certainly the toughest.
Well, yeah.
I think there's no question about that. So, and we're waiting for Dr. Death Steve Williams to chime in right now. I don't know why. He's like 6 hours behind us. I just off the phone with him, so he should be here any second. But some of the championships that Terry Bam Bam Gordy held, the WCW Tag Team title, the NWA Tag Team title, the UWF Heavyweight Championship, also held the World Class Championship, the World Class Six-Man title. Every title in the World Class organization just about he held at some point or another, but also holding the Mississippi title and the Smoky Mountain title. So a very accomplished wrestler. And again, for those of you that are on the younger end of our audience, and I know that on the Wrestling Guys hotline, 937-285-0991, we had some people calling in saying, now, Terry Gordy, was that the same guy that was Jimmy Jam? No, that was not the same guy. But then I started thinking, if you're a fan who's like 15, 16 years old, you may not know who Terry Gordy was.
That's true.
Which is really unfortunate.
It is, very much so.
And so we want to talk about Terry tonight. We want to remember him, and we want your thoughts as well. 866-910-WPFB is our phone number. And I tell you what, we're going to take a break. I'm going to hunt down Steve Williams because I don't know where he is. I know you just hung up with him. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Dr. Death Steve Williams, cross your fingers. You're listening to The Wrestling Guy.
On 910 AM, WPFB.
Stidham and Willie F. on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Back here on The Wrestling Guys, Shawn, Stidham, and Willie F. And joining us now, Dr. Death Steve Williams. Doc, how you doing?
Good. How is everybody?
Not too bad. Obviously, the last couple of days I know have been a little rough for you with the passing of Terry Bam Bam Gordy. You guys really did it all because you not only teamed together, but you wrestled against each other. When was the first time that you met Terry Gordy?
Oh, I guess you could say back in probably, I'd say about 89, 85, 89, back there when I just started. I did a little bit of wrestling back over there at Dallas, Texas with the Von Erichs, and I met him then, and then we had a feud, and as I wrote my webpage newsletter out today, that it was my first 60-minute Broadway I'd ever gone with anybody, and just burned the house down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Today, Monday, when I found out, it's been probably really one of the saddest saddest time of my life right now. I've lost a few people. My sister passed away a couple months ago. Last year I lost Gary Albright. A couple years ago I lost a great man I worked for, Giant Baba. So it's been a good friend, Bobby Duncombe. God bless all of them, especially all their families. My prayers go out to them. I spoke to Connie, Terry's ex-wife, and found out the whole details, and it's posted up on the webpage.
Yeah, a lot of people, and unfortunately with wrestling, when somebody dies in the wrestling business, somebody will think an overdose or something like that. That wasn't the case. Terry had a heart attack brought on, I guess, by a blood clot. He guess he'd been having some chest pain for the last few days.
Yes, sir. He told Connie that he was having some kind of chest pains, and after they went through and checked out his body and did the big deal, they found a blood clot passed through the heart, and that's what it was caused of. And we know of the history and things people say and rumors. It wasn't alcohol, drug abuse, or anything like that.
We're talking to Dr. Death Steve Williams about the life of his good friend Terry Bam Bam Gordy, who was only 40 years old when he passed away this Monday. Doc, I talked to a couple of different people about Terry Gordy, and when they describe him, they say a few things. Mischievous in a good way, wouldn't hurt a fly, almost like a big kid sometimes, the way he would jerk around with people and whatnot. If we were to play word association, and I was to ask you what you thought about when the name Terry Gordy was mentioned, what would you say?
Well, just like you're answering my questions, I've all just wrote down on my webpage for my newsletter that went out. How I describe Terry Gordy is a bad son of a gun in the ring. The thing I remembered was that he always barked on the side of his mouth, and that long hair always whipped around, and he was a technician, one of the best wrestlers in the business. And outside, he had a smile of a Southern boy, and in the business, he looked like a redneck, man. I'm telling you. He was a true Southern redneck, man. And I'll tell you what, I know the Freebird, and I know the Freebird era, and if anybody doesn't know, he lived the Freebird life. I brought Terry Gordy back to life because of 2 other accidents he had. I was the one who was with him. Michael Hayes and Buddy, they are just probably as close as I am to Terry as they are, and we went through some hell, man, and we survived some good times. I got, trained him, man. We ruled Japan, all Japan. We controlled the tag team champions for 5 years, non-stop, beating every single one of them. We had a hell of a run. The run should have went longer, but God bless my brother, man, and rest in peace. He lived the full life, man.
Let me ask you something, because the one time I remember you two really feuding and going at each other was when Bill Watts first formed the UWF, and Terry was the first champion there.
UWF World Heavyweight Champ.
Now, when that decision was made at that time, there were a number of other wrestlers that had more, more experience as a singles competitor. Yourself, Ted DiBiase, Hacksaw Duggan, One-Man Gang. How was the decision made to put the belt for the first time on somebody that really wasn't known as a singles competitor?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Terry Gordy's been working since he was 16 years old. I know his life story. I lived with him as much as I lived with my wife. Half the year, 6 months in Japan, I lived with him 6 months. Out of the year, I lived with my wife and kids. He progressed so well. The people took him as, like I said, that doggone redneck. Terry Gordy would do that, whip that long hair around, and I'm going to tell you what, he kicked a lot of tail.
Yes, he did.
As everybody knows, as the business is not today, we all had to hook it up back then to keep our spots and to make your name. It wasn't just if you could do a doggone gainer into a moonsault on somebody. It was right down wrestling.
Yeah, that's the one thing that...
And he just progressed, and he whooped tail, and the people hooked on, and that's they had to run with him, and then we had to run, and then all of a sudden One-Man Gang, and then, it was, Mid-South was with wrestling, I'll tell you.
I've always said, I talked to a lot of different people, the UWF time in the Mid-South era, you want to watch some great wrestling and see really, I think, the predecessor to what we see on Raw, because with the old shows, the Mid-South and UWF, they did feature the main event matches on the television programs, and they also featured things in the locker room, and they just brought it to a whole new, it showed such a different element at that time, and it's something I think that was really maybe the predecessor to what we see today in regards to some of the extreme, it's not the hardcore, not the backyard crap, but the more stuff we see with the intensity, and if you will.
I think the word you're looking for, Shawn, is psychology.
They had
psychology back then. They don't have
psychology, and let me tell you what was with it. It was just like a soap opera as it should be today. Bill Watts would make the show where, gosh dog it, man, he'd cut that doggone last main event right at the very end where you guys wouldn't see it, and you'd have to turn in next week.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was just on, and it was like a snowball just rolling, and it wasn't so much into the back of the locker room as, like, I remember one time Ted DiBiase and Jim Duggan fought out the back of Irish McNeil Boys Club in Shreveport, Louisiana, and they came in, they was all over mud and everything, and it was like, my gosh, there's blood everywhere. I was going, man, this is wrestling here.
Well, I remember seeing shows at the Superdome, and Sting and Eddie Gilbert fighting all over the building, going back to the concession areas. And then you look at some of the other matches, I remember the feuds between the Fantastics and the Sheep Herders, and they were having, barbed wire cage matches.
Oh, yeah, no, it was... I remember wrestling. There's another person, God bless, Dickie Murdoch. I wrestled him in Amarillo, and I'm a baby face. Get a load of that. And then you know where? I'm a baby face in Amarillo, and that's where Dickie Murdoch's from, and he's supposed to be the heel. As soon as I walked out, every doggone Amarillo fan yelled and booed and cursed me out, Oklahoma Sooner this and that. And I mean, here comes Dickie Murdoch, and he's a baby face, and here we are in a barbed wire fence match around a cage. I go, what am I doing in this thing? I said, this cowboy, this redneck, this is his kind of style. I said, we don't need this. We just do a couple suplex, belly to bellies, and I'm gonna put you right on your head with that side suplex. But those years were great. God, you know what? Check my webpage out. It's OklahomaStampede.com. www.OKLASTAMPED.com. It should be up here in the next. It might be up right now, but it's what I feel, how I felt about Terry, what we're missing, and I'll tell you, a legend in the business. We just lost one.
Yes, absolutely.
A technician. I mean, a man that is a man's man. A man's man. I have to say that twice because in this business you don't see too many of those men anymore, But he was a man's man, and that's what I believe in this business, I mean, we were the foundation. I mean, sure, you had Gorgeous George, you had all but beyond that, we were the foundation for what the business is now.
And we're talking with Dr. Steve Williams on the Wrestling Guys at AM 910 WPFB. Doc, I want to ask you real quick, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. A few years back, we heard that Buddy Roberts had some throat cancer. I really haven't heard that much about Buddy, and with Terry's passing, we've had a lot of questions about. Everybody sees Michael, obviously, every week on WWF TV. But what's going on with Buddy Roberts? Can you give us an update on him?
Don't know nothing more. Why do you say throat cancer? Because my voice sounds so doggone deep?
No, Buddy had it.
I tell you what, I got a sore throat, and I said I better put a Hall's cough drop in, have me a glass of water here, because, I mean, it's so scratchy. I feel like, who was the old-timer? Spud McRunrow. Remember Spud Mc?
Yes.
Back there in Mid-South, I'll kick care of my tail right there. Sam Houston calls Sam, you bring the best one you got, you know what I mean? I can lace my boots up better, remember those days?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Gosh. But no, I don't even know what's up with Buddy. I'll just tell you, I talked to Connie, found out the whole situation, and she said that Michael and Buddy was heading on down to the funeral. The funeral's tomorrow, Thursday, 11 o'clock. You probably got an address for whatever flowers or stuff, I believe, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well, it's going to be at 11 o'clock Thursday, and I hope everybody, out of your busy schedule, just take out just 5 minutes, man, and say a little prayer for. He's got 3 wonderful little kids. He's got 2 little girls and 1 little boy that I believe is going to get a shot over at Japan at Knoll.
And Terry had trained him, too.
Yes, that's what I believe, that he got him hooked up just like last month.
Wow.
And he was supposed to go over this next month. So say a prayer for the little ones, and I hope, and I know Terry's going to be in a better place.
Absolutely. Hey, Doc, I know it's been a tough couple of days for you. I appreciate you taking out the time. And again, plug your website so people can get up to date with you as you keep going over there winning those Triple Crowns in Japan.
Well, I'm trying to, man. I just had a shot at the Triple Crown against Muta. I lost, but I'll tell you what, I gave him a hell of a match, excuse my language, 25-minute match, and I ended up with a few black and blue eyes and here and this, bumps and bruises, but I guarantee he's got a real sore head and neck from that side suplex I gave him.
Dr. Steve Williams, thank you very much. We'll do it again.
I'll tell you what, I'm over in Hawaii. I just want to tell everybody aloha and God bless you all.
All right, thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
God bless.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Death Steve Williams talking about Terry Bam Bam Gordy. And again, for those of you that do not know anything about Terry Gordy, check out Doc's website, oklahomastampede.com, or go to any number of websites. OneWrestling.com has a number of tributes up, and there are videos you can go out and rent and buy.
I was going to say that. You know, if you're a wrestling fan right now and you know really, if you don't know anything about, you know, guys like Terry Gordy or Dr. Death Steve Williams or any of those guys, do yourself a favor and go back and actually, research it and look at the guys that came before. I mean, I think Triple H said it best, when he was on Tough Enough. There are a lot of guys that have paved the way, and Terry Gordy and Dr. Death Steve Williams are just two of those guys. And you might find yourself that you're actually going, wow, look at that. They didn't do a hurricanrana or anything. They were actually, working in there, and that was a great match.
866-910-WPFB is our phone number. We have to take a break. We are the Wrestling Guys.
On 910 AM, WPFB.
You got that Steve Williams
I
thing
do.
going for
I
you.
got that.
Jeez.
This is the old coach Jack Gordon, hoping that you'll join us every Friday night for exciting Middletown Midi football. Of course, this year, under new head coach Eric Tudor, the Middies take on a formidable schedule. How about Cleveland St. Ed up in Lakewood, Ohio? And, of course, the Coleraine Cardinals.
Talk about Terry Bam Bam Gordy a little bit. Just, again, the wrestling world has lost a tremendous talent. And hopefully, if you do not know, again, like Willie said, if you do not know who Terry Gordy was and what his impact was on this business, you will go and try and do a little research. Go to WrestlingClassics.com. That's a great website.
It is a great website. Or RFVideo.com has a lot of the old stuff, too.
Right, absolutely. So, again, the funeral services for Terry Bam Bam Gordy are being held tomorrow, and I'm going to find the phone number here in a minute through our mountain of papers we have here. One thing I want to mention, too, a story that came out last week, is that apparently Eric Bischoff is in talks with DirecTV about starting another wrestling organization, a national wrestling organization. Now, DirecTV is very interested in getting involved in this because pay-per-view revenues are down significantly, and DirecTV obviously gets a huge chunk of money from pay-per-view revenue. But the problem is, with only one major wrestling organization now, with the World Wrestling Federation owning everything, there's no WCW pay-per-views, there's no ECW pay-per-views, and 90 to 95% of all pay-per-view revenue is driven by wrestling programming. So it stands to reason that DirecTV would be very interested in getting another national wrestling company up and running so that they could get some extra pay-per-view revenue. So we don't know exactly where they are in this whole discussion, the negotiations, or anything else. But if you believe what you hear, Eric Bischoff could once again be in charge of a national company with the power of DirecTV behind him. Now, the one thing I'm not sure of is if this is going to be the Matt Rats organization that he has been involved with, or if this is, going to be a different company. We shall see.
I hope it's not Matt Rats, even though I went to the website and I checked out, they had like a little trailer, a little coming attraction thing. I hope it's not them, because those kids are like 17, 18 years old. And that's not going to catch on.
No, it's not. But one thing we've also heard, too, is that tomorrow there is a huge meeting in Stamford, Connecticut, behind closed doors, as the World Wrestling Federation is going to be looking at trimming their roster. Now, with everybody that...
I heard like 25, 30 guys.
Yeah. It's all going to be guys whose names you'll probably recognize, but you haven't seen for a while in the WWF. And
like the gobbledygooker.
Yeah, I think he's going to be gone again.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly who's on that list. You can probably sit there and go, okay, we haven't seen the Boss Man for a while. And Tiger Ali's seen, Gangrel's another one. So, and again, we don't know those names for sure, but those are probably guys you can... If you were a betting man, I'd probably bet on some of those names.
I would say so.
Yeah. And so with those guys being available, with all of the WCW guys that were not picked up by the World Wrestling Federation still out there, it's quite possible that if Eric gets some of that DirecTV money behind him, he could maybe persuade Goldberg to take a buyout, to maybe persuade Sting to come back, to maybe, tie in with Hulk Hogan's group down at Universal Studios.
It's very possible. So you could see Big Boss Man as Eric Bischoff's heavyweight champion.
13 years ago, that would have been fun. When he was Big Bubba Rogers, because he was the UWF champion.
I know. I liked Big Bubba Rogers.
Big Bubba Rogers was fine. Big Boss Man,
All right, and everything. Are you going to take a phone call?
Well, we're going to
give
we have Andy on the line. We'll talk to Andy in a second.
Okay.
I have the phone number for the funeral home, which is in charge of Terry Bam Bam Gordy's arrangements. If you want to call down there, they can give you information as far as donations and everything else. And again, from what we understand, Terry did not have insurance, did not really save a lot of his money over the years. So I'm sure they can they'll take any kind of help they can get. But the phone number for the funeral home, it's Lane Funeral Home in Rossville, Georgia, 706-866-5151. 706-866-5151. Real quick, Andy, you're on the Wrestling Guys, AM 910 WPFB. There you go. Andy, how are you?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Quick, we got to make it quick. We only have a few seconds.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you mentioned about Terry Gordy being in ECW either, so
Yeah, he was in ECW. In fact, he's on the very first video.
Yes, that is.
We got to give these away. Tell people to call right now. I don't know, first three callers.
First
get one
three
of
callers,
these invasion packs.
866-910 WPFB, win the Invasion Pack. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. Your way into the studio, the tag team champions of talk radio, Shawn and Willie F., the Wrestling Guys. Welcome to another week of the Wrestling Guys here on AM 910 WPFB. I am Shawn Stidham. He is Willie F. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. A lot of things
normal.
covered. You're just normally doing you're kind of
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, that keeps my blood pressure to a reasonable level.
And anything we can do to make sure that's down to the reasonable level, we want to make sure we do. A lot of things, I mean that all sincerity, a lot of things to get into on this Wednesday evening. We want to get your thoughts on this past Sunday's Invasion and the heel turn. Not really a heel turn. I guess he just basically stayed the same, but he changed teams. Stone Cold Steve Austin now on teams WCW, ECW. We'll get your thoughts on that. Also, a lot of other things to cover. We'll talk a little bit about Eric Bischoff. If you called the Wrestling Guys hotline, 937-285-0991, you know that that's quickly becoming my favorite story of all time. And we'll get into that also.
You just like the whole thing that he watched his
We'll get into that story a little bit later on, but a lot of other things to cover. If you want to hop on board tonight, 866-910-WPFB is the phone number.
Toll free.
Anywhere in the entire world. Nationwide, worldwide.
That's amazing.
866-910-WPFB. If you want to email us, it is thewrestlingguys@AOL.com, and we'll get to some of those also later on in the show. The big story coming out this afternoon is that apparently another national promotion could be underway.
Another
one. Now, of course, we've been down to one company since the World Wrestling Federation bought WCW and ECW folded. Apparently, Main Event Professional Wrestling, which is based out of Indiana, Main Event Championship Wrestling, based out of Indiana, has announced today they have signed television deals with UPN 57 in Philadelphia, the Sunshine Network in Florida, the America One Network, and the UPN affiliate that covers Southern Indiana, Southern Illinois, and Northern Kentucky. Now, apparently they have signed Buff Bagwell to a 3-year contract. They have also signed the Sandman and Tracy Smothers, as well as Kurt Hennig and Terry Taylor. Now, the man behind this is a gentleman by the name of John Collins. Now, according to John Collins, the promotion is going to feature old-style wrestling with plenty of violence, but without the sexual innuendo or TNA that has been seen on the World Wrestling Federation and that got Extreme Championship Wrestling in trouble. He's comparing it to the old
and got them
Bill Watts days.
And got them the ratings.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is where the press release gets a little bit funky, where he says, we would like to have an announcing team that includes Joey Styles, Cyrus, and Terry Funk. let's go back over that again.
Okay.
We would like to have an announcing team that includes Joey Styles, Cyrus, and Terry Funk, okay?
Yes.
He also says in the press release that he has spoken with Randy Savage, who told him that under the right circumstances, he would sign with the group. They've also initiated talks with Scott Hall and the Road Warriors. Now,
Well, that's nice. He's letting you
initiated talks.
He's letting you know what the entire process is. I mean, most people just say once they have somebody, that's the press release. This guy's letting you know that he's actually picked up a phone and called these people.
He left a message on their answering
That's
machine.
fine.
He's done.
That's fine.
But don't put that in a press release because
I heard a lot of people book talent that way.
Anyway, but this is, you go on in the press release and it says this. MECW plans to be very aggressive in signing talent. They have a goal of eventually running 4-day tours with 3 crews doing shows in different towns. Other wrestlers that he has signed, is close to signing, or hopes to sign, include Sabu, Francine, Bill Alfonso, The Public Enemy, John Marie, Simon Diamond, Roadkill, Chris Chetty, Danny Doring, Blue Meanie, Jasmine St. Clair, Mikey Whipwreck, Steve Carino, Little Guido, Tony Marmaluke, Jack Victory, Wildcat Chris Harris, Michael Shane, Joey Abs, Michael Duff Happer, Jason Sensation, Dave Penzer, and basically all of Shawn Michaels' students.
Well, basically,
Now, tell us
everyone
who you have, not who you want. Because you look at this press release, would a lot of indie promotions or up-and-coming promotions like to have Randy Savage? Absolutely.
Yes, they would.
Would Randy Savage work for any of those companies? Probably, if the circumstances were right. Absolutely. Randy Savage would work for the World Wrestling Federation if the circumstances were right.
If the circumstances were right means if you give me enough money. That's essentially what that means.
Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I know nothing about John Collins. I'm hoping to get him on the show, if not tonight, later on next week we have. We're trying to hunt him down. See, we would like to have John Collins on.
That's good. We would like to also have Hulk Hogan on.
Exactly.
We would like to have
The Rock on. So there we go. Anyway, now, in all honesty, I hope another national promotion gets started. I hope it's these guys, because from what his groundwork is, it sounds like it could be a very fun, entertaining promotion.
It's not a bad lineup, but some of the guys on there.
And they say the tours of England and Costa Rica are already in the works. They will run Canada next month, and they also have a show scheduled on August 11th at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, which he plans on being a blow-away show. So hopefully, again, he plans on having Kurt Hennig and Terry Taylor working in the office. Not a bad combo.
Not a bad combo at all.
He has a very nice television package already.
Okay.
But I don't like the idea of saying, well, this is who we hope to have. Because a number of people are going to grab this story on the internet and say, well, they've got Sabu and they've got Randy Savage. No. They've placed phone calls to see what it would take. So
they talked to Sabu's dog. The dog's going to relay the message.
Sabu talks to his dog, so
I know.
But we want to get your thoughts on, do you think that another national promotion can survive in these days of the World Wrestling Federation and the World Wrestling Federation and the World Wrestling Federation? Your thoughts on that? Raw this past Monday night, a 5.4 rating, a huge improvement over the previous week's 5.0. The ratings for Raw going up and up over the last few weeks. And you've got to think, Willie F., with this Monday, the return of The Rock, the ratings are going to even be higher.
Well, if they're not, you can just kiss everything goodbye as far as wrestling goes.
Just kiss it big old.
No, I would say I'm going to go ahead and predict a 6-1.
You think the Rock's return will garner over a 6 or a 6-1?
Yeah. I think it'll be a 6-1. That's my guess.
We shall see. One other note, last week we had on Dr. Death Steve Williams, and we talked a lot about Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Terry Bam Bam Gordy's last scheduled show was going to take place August 11th in Birmingham, Alabama. That show has now been converted to a Terry Gordy Memorial Show and will feature Michael P.S. Hayes teaming with Terry's son, Ray Gordy, in the main event. A number of other legendary Southern stars, Beautiful Bobby Eaton, Tommy Rich, a number of guys are going to take part on that show, and Michael Hayes has said he plans on making that a yearly show, much like the Brian Pillman event, which we'll talk about when we come back. Is like that segue?
Yeah, that was nice. But is like Birmingham now the new mecca of pro wrestling? I mean, everything is centering around Birmingham now.
Close there. You got Dusty Rhodes running Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. That's where everybody rehabs.
Yeah.
You got this, Terry Gordy tribute show. So maybe we ought to go to Birmingham. Road trip!
Yeah, I think so.
We'll be right back.
I can fund that.
Your phone calls 866-910-WPFB. The phone number is toll free. Give us a call. We are the Wrestling Guys.
On 910 AM WPFB.
You're listening to the Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
Back here on the Wrestling Guys, and we're talking about Pillman 2001. And 2001 was fourth annual event.
Just one day over 2 weeks of land.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, the phone lines are now open. There's some little glitches there now open if you want to call in, 866-910-WPFB. The number is toll-free. The Pillman Show now shaped up as this. In your main event, the Hardy Boys with Lita against to be announced, which, from what we're understanding, it could be Edge and Christian. It's not definite yet. The invitation's there. They got to work a couple of things out, but I would say you could pencil that in.
Yeah, pencil it.
WCW match with Diamond Dallas Page, Canyon, and Booker T, all in a three-way dance. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat will be your special guest referee. In a invasion match, it's Justin Credible and Raven from Team WCW ECW battling Team WWF Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko. By the way, Dean Malenko is planning on retiring very soon.
Yeah.
He's going to concentrate on training, and so if you're a big
this is really probably one of the last. I mean, this is probably one of the last times that you would ever be able to see Dean Malenko actually work in the ring, I would say.
Another invasion match as Mark Henry will take on Hugh Morris. A three-way cruiserweight match with X-Pac and Jerry Lynn, and another to be announced. From what we understand, that will probably be Billy Kidman. Also the possibility of Chris Candido, who's promised to be at the show, possibly getting into that cruiserweight three.
And that means that Sonny will be there.
And yeah. Legends match, Terry Taylor against Beautiful Bobby Eaton. For the first time in a long time, Jim Cornette will be in the corner of Beautiful Bobby. NWA Championship on the line as Steve Corino takes on David Flair. An HWA Championship match. It's actually HWA versus OVW as Ray Steele takes on Nick Dinsmore for the title. And a four-way dance for the HWA Cruiserweight title as the champion Pepper Parks with his manager Brock Duffin. You know anything about that guy?
I've heard a little bit about him.
Shark Boy, Reckless Youth, and Matt Stryker with Helena Heavenly will be on that show. Others on the card include special VIP guest Missy Hyatt, Elektra, the commissioner for Pillman 2001. And this guy is perfect for the role. Commissioner Regal from the World Wrestling Federation. William Regal will be there. A number of top referees, including Charles Robinson, Steve Hooper from Stampede, Bill Alfonso, Scott Dickerson. Do we consider Joe Lopez in these top referee? From the HWA, Joe Lopez.
Joe Lopez is a god amongst the fans of the HWA right now.
So again, if you want to go to the show, August the 9th at Oak Hills High School in Cincinnati. Details available by calling the HWA offices at 513-771-1550.
And there's like 17 matches on the card because you're not even talking about, you got the independent showcase too.
Yeah, what we went down is basically the show starting at 7:30. At 5:30, they start the independent showcase, and from there you have guys from not only the HWA and OVW, but also from Stampede. You've got guys from the ECWA coming in from the East Coast. So, I mean, it's just going to be an outstanding independent show as well. And looking forward to being a part of it once again this year on August the 9th. 866-910-WPFB is the phone number. And we were talking about another national promotion starting up, apparently. And last week we also heard conversations that Eric Bischoff was in talks with DirecTV about starting up another national promotion because DirecTV apparently looking at expanding their programming and wanting to replace some of the revenues lost on pay-per-views with now only one company, the World Wrestling Federation, offering wrestling pay-per-views.
You think his channel will be around the 590s?
Around the Playboy and Spice Network. In case you have not heard this story, Eric Bischoff testified yesterday in the Gold Club trial down in Atlanta. In the Gold Club trial, the owner of the Gold Club, Steve Kaplan, is under indictment for federal racketeering charges, having ties to the mafia, and apparently one of the things he did was offer prostitution services to high-profile Gold Club patrons. And those patrons have included Patrick Ewing, Dikembe Mutombo, Terrell Davis. Well, yesterday, Eric Bischoff took the stand. And we all know that Eric Bischoff was going to be brought into this trial. He was president of WCW. They were based in Atlanta. And we all kind of joked around and said that Eric Bischoff apparently was one of these guys also that received services at the Gold Club.
Yeah.
And we need to have a retraction because Eric Bischoff did not receive services at the Gold Club. It was Eric Bischoff's wife that received services at the Gold Club.
See, I told you.
Eric Bischoff testified yesterday at the trial that one night at the Gold Club, after about 20 beers, he and his wife took a dancer, like the quotation there, dancer, back to a hotel room where Eric watched while the dancer and his wife use your imagination.
I told you that Eric Bischoff was not the kind of guy that would, that would do that to a dancer. Now, his wife, I don't know her. No. All right, Eric says that he knows her, and he says that would happen.
Now, I'm really sorry, because I know a lot of people are saying this is really embarrassing for Eric Bischoff. He should not have to have his public life brought out like this.
Well, you know what? If you play with fire, you may have to scratch.
What the heck is that? I heard a stop, drop, and roll, but scratching I didn't know about.
Well,
the moral of the story...
I was just thinking about the dancer, that's all.
The moral of the story is...
Yes.
Do not pay a dancer to have sex with your wife while you watch,
that's right.
or you may get in trouble.
That's right. You need to go out and find a good friend. You don't have to pay somebody for that. Go out and find a neighbor.
Oh, but anyway, you got to think that with this coming out, Eric Bischoff's chances at getting national promotion may have taken a serious blow, because just the idea that, these companies, he's looking for investors.
You need to watch the way you're phrasing stuff.
He wants these investors, and now this gets brought out.
Yeah.
And you got to think, his chances took a serious hit yesterday.
I can't disagree with you.
Anyway, so, again, and one thing we want to stress, Eric Bischoff is not being charged with anything. Hey, look, there's Goldberg. He found work on TV. Okay, there you go.
All right.
There you go. What's that, the bitter beer commercial?
Yeah, Goldberg's got a...
It's good,
bitter beer face.
Yeah, just something like that. Anyway, Eric Bischoff, though, you got to just, I feel sorry for the guy in a way, but then again, like you said, Willie, you play with fire, sometimes you got to scratch.
That's right.
Let's go to phone lines. Andy, welcome to the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much.
Andy, before you go any further, I need to let you know that, right now, you're in the lead as far as the not-so-accurate predictions.
Am I?
Yes.
And let's explain this. On the Wrestling Guys hotline, 937-285-0991, every time there's a pay-per-view, Willie offers his not-so-accurate predictions. And at the beginning of the year, we started taking basically standings and making records out of it, making a game. And like you said, over the weekend, if you haven't started playing by now, forget about it. But and Andy now is very astute when it comes to predicting what's going to happen to pay-per-views. So congratulations. You did well this past Sunday.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys, it's going to be a good year for me. I'm going to be the Wrestling Guys Color of the Year. I'm going to win the not-so-accurate predictions. And
what is today? Today is what, July 25th? We have like another 5 months before we hand out those awards, and people are already campaigning for it. Andy, what do you think about another national promotion? Main Event Championship Wrestling says they are going national. Can they do it?
I don't know. There's enough talent right now that is kind of on the shelf right now. But, a lot of that talent needs to really get their act together. So, depending on, whether they can get some of these guys rehabbing and get them back in shape a little bit, will depend on what they do.
Hey, well, keep in mind this. The only guy they have signed so far is Buck Bagwell, outside of Kurt Hennig and Terry Taylor, and those guys are being considered more for office positions. But with Buck Bagwell being signed, and apparently Sandman's in on this as well, those are two guys that do not have the best reputations in the locker room. And you got to think, for a national company to get off the ground, they've got to have somebody who's a leader, somebody who's going to take charge. And I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know what they're going to, if this John Collins guy's the kind of guy that can be a leader or not. We shall see.
I think they should bring Eric Bischoff in. You bring in Eric Bischoff. You get all the guys in the room. You give them 20. You give them 20 beers each, and they'll do just about anything for you.
Yeah, Eric said his whole memory is kind of fuzzy what happened that night, but
that they need to bring in is Ludwig Borga.
Oh God. Okay, with that, Andy, we've got to say goodbye to you. No, not Ludwig Borga.
Bring back the artist.
Bring back the artist, or
bring back the maestro.
The maestro, that would be good. 866-910-WPFB is the phone number. We want to talk about another show coming up, a couple local shows. First of all, this weekend, Saturday, Violent Championship Wrestling has a card in Piqua at the National Guard Armory. Suicide Solution, Logan Kane, Atomic Rhino, I believe the Hustler Tim Moxley is going to be on the show. And if you want information, you can go to violentchampionshipwrestling.com. A big show coming to Moraine on Saturday, August the 18th at the Payne Recreation Center as the Heartland Wrestling Association makes its return to Dayton at the Payne Recreation Center located at Splash Moraine with a big show. Tickets will go on sale next week at Grips and Tips in West Carrollton, and we will have more information for you over the course of the week off the Wrestling Guys hotline, 937-285.
Can I just say that it's looking pretty good?
The show is, yeah.
It's looking pretty good, and there may be some surprises on that.
And we'll talk about that.
Okay.
As we get closer to the show, when the surprises get confirmed, we will talk about
Well, then they're
that.
not surprises anymore.
SmackDown tapings took place
We
last
can do
night.
like this press release. These are the people we'd like to have on the show.
We would like to have The Rock. We would like to have Austin. We would like to have, who else? Goldberg. If he's not doing anything, just swing by.
But now, since the HWA and the WWF, they're kind of hand in hand, there could be some things.
There could be some things.
But that's all we're at.
That's all we're at liberty to say right now. But mark down August 18th. The highest ticket price is going to be $8,
which is outstanding.
$8 for adults, $6 for kids. If you are a resident of the city of Moraine, bring some identification, you will knock $1 off of your ticket. So it's going to be a very big show, again, Saturday, August the 18th, at the Payne Recreation Center at Splash Moraine. So mark your calendars for that. When we come back, we are going to take more of your phone calls, 866-910-WPFB, and look at what happened at the SmackDown tapings last night. We're not going to spoil it for you, but some exciting matchups at SmackDown. And we are the Wrestling Guys.
On 910 AM, WPFB.
Do you know where your news is?
When we talked about Terry Bam Bam Gordy, there were a couple of other guys that we had chased down to try and get on, and unfortunately one of those guys, Paul Bearer, had some things happen at the last minute where he had to cancel, and WWF.com confirming today that Paul Bearer's wife has been diagnosed with breast cancer, which is why he had to bow out for last week. Right. They were going to the hospital, so not really sure how serious. Obviously it's serious. I don't know what stage it's in. Sure. So we want to send our thoughts and prayers, obviously, to him and his wife at this time. SmackDown taping taking place last night in Pittsburgh, and a quick preview of what you will see tomorrow night on UPN, including the Hardy Boys taking on Billy Kidman and Hurricane Helms. That's Gregory now. The Dudley Boys taking on a brand new tag team. You ready for this? The Shogun.
Yeah.
Billy Gunn and the Big Show, two guys going absolutely nowhere. And you got to think, it's a brilliant idea. Put the two together, let them make fun of how much the other one sucks.
Yeah, it's a good idea, but it's still Billy Gunn and the Big Show.
Diamond Dallas Page takes on Kane. Tag team action is Y2J, Chris Jericho, and Tajiri, Battle Canyon, and Rob Van Dam. Perry Saturn takes on Lance Storm. Edge and Christian taking on Taz and Rhino. And in your main event, Booker T puts the WCW title on the line against Kurt Angle. And if you want to know the complete results as to actually what happened, they are available to you now at the Wrestling Guys hotline, 937-285-0991. You check out WWF magazine, the Raw magazine, the new one on newsstands now, with William Regal on the cover. Nice article in there about the Cincinnati Reds and the little three-way dance they have of wrestling fans, Danny Graves, Sean Casey, and Dimitri Young, including some pictures of when they took part in last year's Summit event. So you might want to check that out if you are a wrestling fan, or if you're just a Cincinnati Reds fan. Nice little article about how they are, the little nicknames they have for each other, and what their finishing moves would be, and nice 2- or 3-page article. Danny Graves actually went to school with The Rock, did some classes with him, and roomed with him for a little bit. So
did he really?
Yeah, so some nice little notes about that. I mentioned the SmackDown tapings taking place last night in Pittsburgh. They're also, since Pittsburgh is, 4 hours away, the Unforgiven pay-per-view is going to happen there September 23rd. Tickets go on sale August the 4th. So if you want to go on a little road trip, then head over to Pittsburgh and check out Unforgiven on September the 23rd. Of course, I'll be here on pay-per-view. You'll be able to see it.
Thanks for letting them know that.
No problem. I had a question, I had an email about another possible national promotion from Hulk Hogan. We talked about that the last few weeks, about Hulk Hogan teaming up with Universal Studios down in Florida, basically more as an attraction than as an actual promotion. They were going to basically have shows as a theme park attraction, tape those shows, and then see if there's anybody out there that wanted to spend the money. Apparently, Universal Studios has now declined to get involved because they feel like this is not the right time to get involved with a wrestling promotion, given the last few weeks the ratings going down for the World Wrestling Federation.
I think that they should have had those matches like on the Earthquake ride too.
The what ride?
Earthquake. Earthquake.
Earthquake. Okay, just want to make sure.
Well, you couldn't do it. Granted, I think that would be it. You can have matches just happen at the different attractions. Like you would have one that happens, on the Jaws ride, and you can have one happen on the Back to the Future ride. And those could be like your gimmick matches,
something for people to watch while they're standing in line.
Yeah.
Something along those
They
lines.
just break out, like like those annoying characters that just break out of nowhere, or the bands, they just have two guys fight, like while you're waiting in line. I think that's the way to do it.
Les doesn't talk to you about marketing, has he?
No.
Okay, good. I'm sorry, that was bad. Anyway, but yeah, apparently Universal Studios has said no to Hulk Hogan now. And it was just last week where Hulk Hogan said, if Vince McMahon knew what I had in store, he would pay me $50 million to not do it. So hopefully, Hulkster may want to call up Vince if he's that offer still on the table. Because Universal Studios has said, no promotion for you.
So Vince McMahon needs to pay Hulk Hogan $50 million for not doing anything.
For not doing anything, which is basically what Goldberg's doing right now.
Well, that's true.
If Goldberg can do it, why can't Hogan? Honky Tonk Man, very active on his website the last couple of days, as he normally is. Not a guy that holds his opinions back at all. Just lets it all out. And one of the things he mentioned was that he actually sent a letter to the World Wrestling Federation and executive producer Kevin Dunn and told them, I will come and do your color commentary for free. You don't have to pay me a dime. I'll even pay my own travel expenses, as long as you promise not to hire Jerry Lawler back in the company.
And who wouldn't want the Honky Tonk Man as the color commentator?
Probably anybody. Jerry Lawler, for those who don't know, is actually the Honky Tonk Man's cousin.
Yeah.
Which, that family, you talk about
a nice
dysfunctional
close-knit family.
Yeah, exactly.
They should get them and the Harts together for, a little Walton.
A little bonfire.
A little Walton time Christmas.
Anyway, Jerry the King Lawler, as far as his situation goes, Jim Ross wants Jerry Lawler back, and he has said publicly that he believes Jerry the King Lawler at some point will once again be his partner on Monday Night Raw and at pay-per-view.
And how do you think How do you think Michael Cole feels? Here's Jim Ross on his report, on his Ross report that he does every Friday. He's basically coming out and saying, you know what, Michael Cole and I, we're just not working. It's really not working. I mean, we just had to go together, and I know that it's not the final solution of where we want to be.
But if you take a look at both of those guys, they are both play-by-play guys.
Absolutely.
So I think Michael Cole is hopefully professional enough to understand that this is a short-term situation, a quick fix, until they're able to find somebody who actually has been in the ring and can offer that color analyst role. So Michael Cole just can't, I'm sorry, getting beat by Stone Cold Steve Austin once in the ring does not constitute a wrestling career.
I think they had a great thing with just, he had a great idea just having Taz do it, and then you have, them taking over half of the commentary position also. And I think that's the way to do it. I mean, Taz was not bad.
No, not at all. Not at all. And Paul Heyman was doing a very good job, so
Paul Heyman was getting better every single week.
Yeah.
Except for that 1 second away. I hated that thing. 1 second away!
I think that was a rib on Vince personally.
Yeah.
But apparently Jerry the King Lawler is now saying that his wife, Stacey Carter, who is the reason he did not go back to the World Wrestling Federation numerous times over the last few months, apparently she is done with wrestling. She wants nothing to do with the business. She is not even taking indie bookings anymore, because tonight there is a card which features Helena Heavenly from the HWA teaming up with somebody else in a mixed tag team match against Jerry Lawler and somebody else. But the Cat is not on that show, and
the Cat is busy putting up the new pictures that Jerry takes of her on his website,
which is KingLawler.com.
KingLawler.com.
Check that out. But hopefully Jerry Lawler will make his way back, because I think that...
And not that there's anything wrong with that, with him putting up new pictures of his wife on the website.
You don't think there's anything wrong with that?
There's nothing, I've seen wrestling vixens too, so, I mean, there's nothing wrong. I've seen that site.
Randy, welcome to the Wrestling Guys. I'm
talking about
WPFB. I know what you're talking about. Randy, how you doing?
Hey, pretty good. How you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Well, I got a few comments on the Eric Bischoff situation.
Try to keep it clean, please.
I'll try to keep it clean, but I look at it this way. If he can take 20 cans of alcohol, consume it, still drive, not die alcohol poisoning, if he gets this promotion up and running, I think unquestionably the first people he should go after is the Spanish Fly and the guys from Watt.
That's a good point.
Definitely. And
I think the guys from WAD would actually like the perks that Eric Bischoff obviously gets for his people.
When we talk about WAD, that's a group of guys in Dayton called Wrestling After Dark, and by calling them drunk, we are complimenting them. They like that. So,
and as far as a national, maybe, in the 80s, we had Rockin' Wrestling with Cyndi Lauper and Captain Lou. And, Bischoff could turn this into a good thing. He could cross-promote with someone like the Spice Channel.
That's what I'm saying. I think that they should put it up, on right around the Spice Channel.
You got to wonder, though, in all seriousness, talking about Eric Bischoff and another national promotion, we know he's tight with Hulk Hogan. If Hogan's plans of starting up his own company with Universal Studios has fallen through, you got to think the likelihood of those two working together again is good. And if Hogan comes on board, then that makes a lot of people with checkbooks to stand up and take notice.
Yes, it does.
Hulk Hogan is still a very, very, very marketable name in the wrestling business.
Okay, can I do one real quick plug real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
August 4th up there at the John Bryant Community Center, OCW is running a show.
Outlaw Championship Wrestling, you're the referee, right?
Yeah, I'll be getting the heck beat out of me in some way.
Now, how does that happen? I mean, as a referee, you're supposed to keep law and order in the ring, and it seems like every one of these OCW shows, you end up on your behind after somebody punks you out.
Well, nobody punks me out. Shawn, let's start talking about punking people out. Did you sit on the table yet?
Shut up. I went through the table, thank you.
Oh, okay, but no, that was years ago.
Absolutely. Many moons ago.
The zebra stripes are good, but I usually end up with a red and white circle stripe somewhere during the show.
And we'll keep that a mystery exactly where that strap is. All right, Randy, thanks a lot for the call, man.
Thank you.
Take care. Randy Kirby talking into us tonight. And if you want more about that OCW show, the number is 229-89, area code 937, and outlawchampionshipwrestling.com is the website. Yeah. Covering everybody tonight.
That's good.
Spanning the globe.
Bum, bum, bum.
There you go. We're going to take a break. More of your phone calls when we come back. Open lines available at 866-910-WPFB. We're the Wrestling Guys.
On 910 AM WPFB.
You're listening to Shawn Stidham and Willie F. And now back to Shawn Stidham and Willie F. The Wrestling Guys on the station that's a part of your life, AM 910 WPFB.
A couple of open lines available, 866-910-WPFB. And in case you missed what we were talking about earlier, Heartland Wrestling Association coming back to Dayton at the Payne Recreation Center at Splash Lorraine, Saturday night, August the 18th. Details will be available at the Wrestling Guys hotline, 937-285-0991. A couple of the big stories today. A gentleman from Indiana named John Collins, the man in charge of Main Event Championship Wrestling, has announced that he is going to be starting another national wrestling promotion. Now, he apparently has television deals lined up with the America One Network, also with the Sunshine Network out of Florida, UPN in Philadelphia, and also a UPN affiliate that covers parts of Indiana, Kentucky, and Illinois.
And actually, do you have his phone number? Because people might want to call up with their wrestlers that they would,
don't do that. We're giving the benefit of the doubt.
Well, no, but somebody may call up and say, you know what, I'd really like to see this guy. I'd call him up and leave a message on his answering machine.
When we get the permission to give out a number, we will.
Okay,
we'll do that. Okay. But apparently he has signed Buff Bagwell to an exclusive 3-year contract. He also has signed Kurt Hennig and Terry Taylor. Now, Hennig will wrestle a little bit, but apparently Hennig's being groomed more for a front office position than as a wrestler. Also, he has a deal in place with the Sandman. He also has said he would like to have, quote, Randy Savage, Scott Hall, and basically anybody from ECW that's not currently working for anybody else. So that's
a fair assessment.
That's pretty much what the list was: Roadkill, Danny Doring, Simon Diamond, on and on. So
Francine, that's the one I didn't understand too. Francine.
Okay. Well, why not?
Well, Francine's still dating Tommy, correct?
Well, yeah, she's dating Tommy Dreamer, but if the World Wrestling Federation's not going to give her a paycheck, then she has to find work in some capacity.
I think that they could have a space for her, don't you?
I would think so. I mean, I think that
I just think it makes sense.
So much of ECW was based on the women, as well as the violence and everything else. So it would make sense to bring in a Francine or a Dawn Marie. Beulah McGillicuddy. That's the one I miss.
Beulah won't.
I know Beulah won't, but I'm just saying that when we're talking about people, he's talking about guys he would like to see in the promotion. I would like to see Beulah McGillicuddy.
I've seen enough of Beulah now.
You've been to those sites?
I have been.
Okay, anyway. Also, Eric Bischoff yesterday testifying at the Gold Club trial in Atlanta that he did, in fact, pay. He said that he paid for the time. That's something else we didn't touch on. Eric Bischoff.
That must be an acronym for something.
Eric Bischoff and his wife took a dancer from the Gold Club back to the hotel room while Eric Bischoff watched this dancer and his wife play.
Yes.
We'll just say play. And Eric Bischoff apparently on the way back gave her like $100, but that wasn't for any of the play time. It was just simply for being with them at the hotel.
That's right.
Well, what is that?
I think
I'm sorry, officer. No, I wasn't paying her for that. It was just the companionship.
I think TIME actually is an acronym for Topless in Mommy Entanglement.
For what?
Topless in Mommy Entanglement.
Topless in Mommy Entanglement.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what we paid for.
You scare me
We paid
sometimes.
for time.
You scare me sometimes. Some of these things you come up with.
I just threw that out there.
You did. The World Wrestling Federation apparently has reached an agreement with the creditors of Extreme Championship Wrestling for $250,000. They have bid to acquire the ECW trademarks, name, logos, everything. Now, this was a big brouhaha last week where some creditors actually tried to go to court to have the pay-per-view blocked because they claimed the World Wrestling Federation was illegally using the ECW name after ECW had filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Paul Heyman has to turn over all of the ECW records, paperwork, everything by the end of the month, has to appear in the bankruptcy court in New York. We found out that what Paul Heyman's salary is now, $408,000 a year from the World Wrestling Federation to be a TV writer. Not a bad gig.
Not a bad gig at all.
And if you would like to work for the World Wrestling Federation,
That's
you
right.
now have your chance. Go to hotjobs.com.
I never thought that I would see the WWF on Hot Jobs.
Hotjobs.com. Now, don't think you can apply to be the Rock's new tag team partner or anything like that. They have jobs available for Director of Marketing of Live Events, production assistants, producers, secretaries, things along those lines.
Of all things, producer. It just seemed like that they would, have a higher level pool than that.
Well, I think it's one of those things that they have to publicly, legally post a job.
Post a job out there.
Before, when there was another guy who used to work, I'm trying to think of what was the company, Nittany Wrestling Federation out in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
There was a guy that worked out there who basically had a job already lined up with the World Wrestling Federation, but they had to post it, and they did so on Hot Jobs. But if you go to Hot Jobs, send in your resume. As Vince McMahon says, anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
That's true.
So, who knows? We'll see. 866-910-WPFB. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk to Bud Rowe. You're on the Wrestling Guys.
To the stars and straight from the pit.
Hold on. There we go. Right to the pit with Bud Rowe. How you doing?
Yeah, what's up? What's going on?
Not a lot.
Well, I thought the pay-per-view was good. It had some good things to it, The whole Austin thing was okay. I mean, I wasn't really shocked about it,
Yeah, but you know what? The one thing that I liked that they did with the whole Austin turn is that they actually, they kept showing only for a brief second. And, I mean, it really was maybe a second or two. They showed his knee injury. They showed him clutching his knee. They showed the EMT around him for maybe a second. Then they cut away from it, and the announcers never said a thing about it, which led you to believe that it was a legitimate injury, and it was not.
And the one thing we also said in our critique of that match was the beginning was good, the ending was good, but in the middle, when Austin was faking the knee injury, everybody kind of looked like they were lost. And I think that was the part of it to sell the Austin injury.
I think it was too.
Those of us that are supposed to be in the know and behind the scenes are all going, wait a minute, Austin's really hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to worked up.
And I said, I kept thinking, what are they going to do? They're not going to be able to pull this off.
And yet, it was a big swerve, and Stone Cold Steve Austin came in, attacked Kurt Angle, allowing Team WCW ECW to get the victory.
I thought it was done really well. I thought that Rob Van Dam has shown himself, not only on Raw, but also on the pay-per-view, that he is going to be a major superstar with the WWF or whatever federation that he actually winds up with.
Now, talking about that match with Rob Van Dam and Jeff Hardy, and also the one on Monday as well with Matt, Dave Shear from OneWrestling.com has posted on their website today that apparently there's some backstage grumblings about Rob Van Dam and Jeff Hardy's match, that they did too many high spots. They did too much in the match, and it kind of overshadowed some of the more main event matches on the show, which they're right. But you start to see now...
Oh, you mean like the Big Show, Billy Gunn, Albert match?
What you're starting to see, apparently, is some rumblings backstage in the World Wrestling Federation, some dissension in the locker room, something that hasn't really been there since the days of the Clique with Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, and such, and you hope that Vince McMahon can put a stop to it, because when you have a bad locker room, you have a bad product. We saw that in WCW.
That's true, and actually, Jim Ross has been commenting about that, saying that that he does hope that the locker room attitude does get better, and that he thinks that it will over time. But this is my whole thing. I mean, you know, we've talked to Rob Van Dam before. We know that, you know, that I don't think it's any secret that his off-screen persona resembles his on-screen persona to a certain degree.
Yes.
I mean, he is a very nice guy, but, I mean, he knows that he is very good, and he lets everyone else know that, too.
And he also knows he's popular.
Exactly. You know, but at the same time, I don't think that the WWF can take away. I mean, we got reports from SmackDown that people are basically yelling RVD, RVD, RVD over top of everything else. And I think it's a credit to Rob Van Dam that here he was in a match with Jeff Hardy, who is probably one of the best, you know, are the top, you know, pretty boy faces in the company. The ones that, you know, all the girls scream, and the ones, of course, that he shows the big spot where he takes his shirt off.
Like they do for us when we leave the studio.
Exactly. And he was able to actually get a bigger chance than Jeff Hardy was, and I think that's credit to Rob Van Dam and what they have in Rob Van Dam.
The other thing about RVD is that so long they said his style would never work in the World Wrestling Federation. He wrestled a longer style of match, spends a lot of time posing, and the people said that wouldn't be in the World Wrestling Federation, it wouldn't get over,
and he made it work.
Well, it did.
Yeah, he made it work. Actually, you know, I thought that he actually chopped a lot of it down, but he did make it work. I think he actually, you know, it was more of a streamlined Rob Van Dam. And you know what? I'm sorry, but you know, if he comes out and he delivers a match and the people respond to it, I don't care if there are detractors in the back. He added to that show, and if that match wasn't on there, that show would have got a thumbs down from me. You know, I would not have, you know, thought that show was very good. That show, or that match, I thought elevated the rest of the card.
And as far as guys in the back being upset, look, if you're upset because Rob's performance got the fans over, then take a look at your own performance and bust your ass a little more when you get back into the ring.
I agree.
And about Rob Van Dam, something else that he does, and I know I told this story before, but when we were doing some things with ECW, with Heatwave 99, we were backstage, Rob Van Dam spent pretty much about 4 hours total, 4 to 5 hours, outside and back of Terra Arena, signing autographs, taking pictures, no fee, no charge. Security, Atlas Security comes over. Big Daddy Raj Cox. Well, he wasn't part of it, but you know what I mean.
Right.
The security guards come over and say, hey, guys need to get away. Rob needs to go back into the arena. Rob's like, no, I don't. Get away.
Yeah.
You know, Rob Van Dam is a guy who appreciates his fans.
He does.
This sounds corny, I know, but he really does. He has the RVD Appreciation Days where he just goes to various cities and meets the fans, signs autographs, whatever. And this is a guy who is proving everybody wrong. And as long as he doesn't say something out of the way to Vince McMahon or Jim Ross or disrespect anybody in the locker room, which he hasn't from everybody we talked to, then he'll be fine. But don't be upset because the people are happy and excited about what he does in the ring.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's completely and utterly nonsense, and that's just actually petty jealousy. Exactly. If those guys that were saying stuff like that could perform like Rob Van Dam could, I don't think they would be saying that.
It's guys worried that Rob Van Dam is going to take their spot.
Well, guess
what? He does what he did this past week.
No, I was going to say, guess what? He's already got their spot. They don't need to worry anymore.
Yeah, and you know, with his cockiness and his egotism and his character, you could certainly see where Rob Van Dam and The Rock are going to hook up down the road.
I would say definitely.
And if
I'm
Rob
looking
Van
forward to
Dam's heel stays the same, that match is going to be huge. That will be the main event of a pay-per-view.
I agree with you 100%. Rob Van Dam is going to be a superstar of the future, mark my words.
Don't forget that Violent Championship Wrestling runs a show again this Saturday up in Piqua at the National Guard Armory. Details available on the internet at violentchampionshipwrestling.com. HWA with their showcase next Tuesday at the Main Event Pro Wrestling Camp down in Cincinnati. A week from this Saturday, Outlaw Championship Wrestling is back in Yellow Springs with John Bryan Community Center. And mark your calendars as the Wrestling Guys welcome the Heartland Wrestling Association Saturday, August 18th at the Payne Recreation Center at Splash Moraine. Details available by calling the Wrestling Guys hotline at 937-285-0991. Any thoughts from you before we head out for another week?
You did everything. I'm just going to stand here and twiddle my thumbs at this point.
Thanks, everybody, for calling in. We will talk to you next week. Until then, I'm Shawn Fittum. He is Willie F. We're the Wrestling Guys.
On 910 AM WPFB.
Making their way into the studio, the tag team champions of Talk Radio, Shawn Stidham and Willie F., the Wrestling Guys.
Good evening, a terrific Wednesday to you. I am Shawn Stidham, he is Willie F., and as listeners who like to say, we are the Wrestling Guys. Back here at AM 910 WPFB. Get on the phone now, 866-910-WPFB, the toll-free number for you to hop on board, and let's get into it. A lot of things to cover. We have news on Tillman 2001. We have news on Juventud Guerrera, and also Jerry the King Lawler, and we'll get into all that in just a few moments. Let's get you up to speed on what's going on in the wrestling world. You know, they say things come in threes.
That's true.
Especially when you have a celebrity death. You always say, okay, there's going to be three, and more often than not, it's no wives' tale, but in this case, it's certainly true. Just a couple of weeks ago, we told you about the death of Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Earlier this week, former NWA promoter Dennis Coralluzzo passed away. Dennis was 48 years old. Was at an event on Saturday and was fine there, I guess, maybe a little under the weather, but then on Sunday he slipped into a coma, and then on Monday they decided to go ahead and pull the life support.
Yeah.
So Dennis Coralluzzo, who very well known and helped get a lot of people their break in the business, passing away. And then earlier today, Rhonda Singh, who most of you know under the name of Bertha Faye, passed away, and not really known exactly what the cause of death was, not announced. But she passed away on July 27th at the age of 40. In a little bit of irony here, she was known as the female Terry Gordy because of her size and her brawling style and everything else, and she was very well known in Japan. And towards the end of her career, she was last seen in WCW, 2 years ago?
Yeah,
and she was and a lot of people used her as the butt of a joke, as a punchline. But certainly her passing is tragic, and we want to send our condolences to her. But it's just kind of ironic. Terry Gordy, Dennis Coralluzzo, now Bertha Faye, just bam, bam, bam. Don't mean that.
Yeah, don't mean that.
Don't mean that Terry Bam Bam Gordy thing, but still. The World Wrestling Federation is getting a new show starting on August the 25th. They have security time slot on TNN from 10 until midnight. Now, the official announcement as to what that show will be could come as early as today, although nothing has been officially announced yet. However, apparently the World Wrestling Federation is not interested in having any more television tapings either. So nobody knows what